A few weeks ago, April 24th marked the 2-year anniversary of my first upload to this channel. It's also been 1 year to the day since I uploaded my last review, even though it's in my name. That doesn't make much sense, so I decided to make a bit of a brand change. With the reviews long gone, it's high time I update the channel. So starting now, I'll simply be Under the Scope, or UTS. Since reviews is also in my logo and banner, I figured they could use a revamp as well. First, here's the new logo, keeping that same triangle look. Huge thank you to Edwin Carrizo for making this awesome design for me. You can find Edwin on Twitter at HisokaMoro10. Second, I whipped up this snazzy new banner. Saber, Hanakawa, Kaons, and Utena describe my fandom pretty well, I'd say. That's the main takeaway from this video. New banner, new logo, slightly tweaked name. There's really no reason this should be a video and not a text post, but this is the only way to reach everybody. I feel like I owe you all a proper explanation for why I stopped making reviews, so here goes. To do that, I first need to delve into why I started making videos at all. Flashback 2 years to March 2015. It was my freshman year in college and I just finished Shinsekai Yori for the first time. I loved it, but more importantly, I wanted people to know I loved it. Back then, I had no one to really talk to about anime. I was sort of what you would call a closet anime fan. I didn't tell anyone about my interest, and I didn't buy merchandise because if someone saw it, I'd be found out like some runaway who's just committed a crime. It's not like I wanted to treat it like that, though. Never be ashamed of your hobby, I'd tell myself. Easier said than done. Fear of being judged is no early-level boss. Ironically, the only thing I'm ashamed of now is admitting I felt that way. On the one hand, I wanted to screech my love for Shinsekai Yori from the highest mountaintop, but on the other, I wanted to keep my guilty pleasure locked up tight, where no one could ever reach it. Enter the warm, welcoming anonymity of the internet. There's a string of words you've never heard. Having read some blogs and watched YouTubers before, I figured, why not give it a shot? I loved the idea of this tiny, insignificant corner of the internet I could mold to my own. Had I known at the time just how many YouTubers there are starting out every day, I probably would have grown overwhelmed and quit before I even started. I may have told you in the past I started this channel simply as a place I could freely speak my mind about anime, but that's not entirely accurate. In truth, I wanted to be heard. Not in the my opinions are the gold standard sense either. For a long time, I kept all these thoughts bottled up inside. I was tired of them being mine and mine alone. I wanted to share them with people. The one-way street of me listening to others talk about anime with no real forum to respond back wasn't enough. I wanted a sense of place for my fandom, beyond my head. I yearned for that shared experience with people who feel the way I do. So, I wrote. Believe it or not, Under the Scope wasn't my first foray into writing about anime, as I launched a failed blog several months prior, enthralled with the idea of an outlet for my thoughts. After a couple weeks of rapid-fire posting and one too many rewrites after articles I accidentally deleted, my anime blogging career came to an abrupt end. I could only ride on that initial momentum for so long. That's usually how it goes. I get a sudden impulse to do something, start it, and quickly lose that drive, leaving whatever it was half-finished or worse. In all honesty, I fully expected my anime YouTube career to be no different. After all, I was in way over my head. Had no editing software beyond iMovie, used my headphones mic to record the audio, didn't know a single person in the community. Hell, I hardly knew there was a community outside the Podtaku crew. I actually finished the scripts on my next 2 videos, reviews of Your Lie in April and Death Parade, before editing the first. With no clue how to get the footage of the show, I downloaded a bunch of clips off YouTube and threw together a shitty cycle of random images at the start. Lacking any sort of style I could call my own, I borrowed the format of what I thought was a proper review and rolled with it. The end result reeked of a first try. Nowadays, every time a new comment pops up on it, a part of me recoils in sheepish embarrassment like a moe schoolgirl. For the 5 of you who subscribed in that first week, I can't thank you enough. Even I would not have subbed to me, but if you hadn't, neither would anyone else. It took over a month and 8 videos to reach 10 subscribers, another month and 7 more videos to hit 50. But my growth rate steadily picked up and I hit 100 subs at the end of the 3rd month with my 18th video. When Mr. Nice Guy first contacted me about doing a collab, I was just shy of 200. If I could offer any words of encouragement to smaller YouTubers or bloggers out there now watching this much like I did back then, it's persistence. Keep putting out regular, quality content. YouTube is a fickle beast, so I can't promise you'll be as lucky as I was, but you might. I'll cut the egomania short right there though, not trying to pat myself on the back here. I tried as best as I could to maintain a weekly upload rate, and somehow managed to last all the way till November before missing my first full week without a video. To those of you who joined within the last year, that must sound like a pipe dream, but it's true. Somewhere along the way though, I grew dissatisfied with my content. It's not that I thought it was bad, but simply giving me an outlet to blather my opinions away wasn't enough anymore. I found myself asking questions my videos never touched on. Oh, the same person directed 2 of my favorites? What's their story? I always seem to love works by this studio or this staff. Why is that? How does it get made? What's the guiding thread through their work that makes me love it so? I no longer felt like my reviews could answer the questions I wanted to answer. This all happened in December of 2015 when I rewatched Sound Euphonium for that massive awards video. Back in summer when I watched it for a review, I didn't think it was all that special. Good but unspectacular. I turned out a ho-hum script, slapped a big fat score on the sucker, and shipped it out. When I revisited UFO in winter, I fell head over heels in love with it. That's when it hit me. I no longer watched anime to enjoy it. I watched it so I could punch out another review. If you look for that UFO review now, you won't find it. It's unlisted. I wasn't honest with myself. I only chose to review it because I wanted a safe series I could give an average rating to balance out my scores without sparking a national outrage. I didn't take any of it in, I didn't give it a fair shake. I decided what I was going to say before I ever pressed play. It took me coming back to the series to realize that. I'd reached a point where I was making content just to make it. There was no passion behind it. So in a way, yes, you can blame UFO for all this. With my view of it so radically altered, I had to return to it in some way to set the record straight. I'd seen this bullshit idea that Kyoto Animation shows are all nothingness floated around, so I felt compelled to squash that notion for good. Thus, I had my next video, What Makes Kyoto Animation Work? Never had I enjoyed writing a script as much as that one. It made me realize how robotic I'd become. Naturally, I wanted to do more like that. Sticking to that same vein, I next attacked the claim that Clannad's ending is an asspull. My longest in-depth script yet, I wrote it in a day. After the Evangelion videos, I set my mind to it. This was the type of content I wanted to make. Even my next 4 reviews ditched the format I'd used to that point for a freer, more analytical structure. All that said, I want to stress I'm not condemning reviews in any way. I'm reflecting on what I put into them, and how I stopped meeting the standards I set for myself. This was always supposed to be something I thoroughly enjoyed doing, and that wasn't happening anymore. On April 24th, 2016, the 1-year anniversary of Under the Scope reviews, Under the Scope released his last review. That doesn't add up. You might have heard someone say reviews are dead, but that really has nothing to do with this. I simply stopped getting what I wanted out of them. Maybe I'll grow tired of this type of content. If so, I'll move on to something else. And if the fun ever runs out on making content in general, then I'll ride off into the sunset happy I got as much out of it as I did. Looking back at that Shinsekai Yori review and comparing it to, say, my recent Naoko Yamada video, it's really night and day. Sure, 2 years of video making experience certainly helped, but when you write passionately about something, the end product will show it. Hopefully this minor brand change clears things up for good. I know my upload rate has nearly died off the last couple months, but with finals behind me, I hope to get quite a lot done moving forward. You can follow me on Twitter at my new handle, JackUTS, for top-tier shitposting. I'm far more active there than I am here. Trust me though, I have no shortage of ideas, with at least 6 separate projects already in the works, including my most ambitious one yet, which may turn into a 5-part series. Until then, let me just say thanks. Thank you for everyone who's followed me up till now. Thank you for giving me an outlet. Thank you for making me realize nobody's more judgmental of me than myself. Thank you for offering me your support, and most of all, thank you for listening.